So we are ready to rock. Good morning, Mr. TK Butler.
Morning, Darryl. This is awesome. We're on a roll right now, just every single week putting out content.
Putting
Who
out
would have thought?
content. Who would have thought?
Consistency every week.
6 whole episodes. And
Oh my
then, hold
goodness.
on, let me do a little math because we have 24 subscribers. So that means we get 4 subs per episode on average.
Wow, that's a good metric. I'm not sure how that compares to anybody else's, but at this rate,
I don't think
100
very
videos,
well, but I'm happy with it.
100 videos, 400 subscribers, we're going to make it. Absolutely.
That sounds fantastic.
I'm
So
looking forward to it. I want to see where we go with this, what exactly we talk about each week and what areas of the Toronto real estate market we dive into. I think we focused a lot on the real estate side of things, but there's just so many different stories to tell, and I think we'll start heading down those roads pretty soon, which is great.
there's a lot of cool stuff. As per usual, I would like to start with something that has to do with Toronto sports.
Okay.
I don't know how you feel about this because this was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Our wonderful Toronto Maple Leaf, Mr. Mitch Marner. So it says here in Toronto Stories that Leafs Mitch Marner scores investment deal with Toronto real estate brokerage. And so what happened here is that Mr. Marner has put in some of his paycheck into a company called Justo.ca.
Yep.
Which from what I gather here is a real estate brokerage that is undercutting the commissions of every other real estate brokerage and using Mr. Marner to get some attention.
Yes, absolutely. And I hope he didn't put in a lot.
I don't think it matters. He
I hope he
maybe didn't even put in anything.
I hope he put in nothing and they're just using his name, because generally speaking, the discount brokerage model is flawed. And sure enough, they're here to pull in some quick bucks and move on. So um, that's the case. But I don't know if we have this to discuss today or not about Purple Bricks. That would have been a really good discussion. So let's just start there. Purple Bricks is a UK company, and they came in a few years ago and bought Comfree, which was a huge, sort of for sale by owner type of company here in Toronto that spread out throughout Ontario. And then Purple Bricks became a national company, and now they've just sold recently to Desjardins and I think they paid $11 million for the company, and they sold it for much more. Like I don't remember the numbers. I don't have the article here, but they made a huge killing. So their job was not to save home sellers money or not to sell houses, but to build a business and chop it off once it got good. So those UK Purple Bricks guys did well.
So what was the difference in their model versus this one?
I think they just had a really good Purple Bricks just had a really, really good tech side of things. So they were pushing a
But
lot of
not a discount
advertising.
brokerage.
It's a discount
Oh,
brokerage.
it
It was
is
just
also.
list your home for $999 or something like that, and
Yeah.
we offer additional a la carte services. Whatever it was. I think 4% of their listings sold. Like it was horrible numbers
Yeah.
as far as their success rate goes, but people were paying the $999. And so if I get 10,000 people to list their homes, right, and I only sell 4% of them, I still collected $1,000 from each of them because it's
Sure.
guaranteed income. I don't have to sell the property.
Well, and if I'm the seller of the property, I'm like, you know what? For $1,000, it's worth trying to save that. Well, depending on the price point, God, $40,000, $80,000, $120,000 commission.
Well, that's the type of person who goes to those types of companies are the people who try to save. And
Sure.
it's like when I go and buy a power tool and I go and buy Black & Decker instead of DeWalt, and I think I saved money. And sure enough, a year later, that drill runs out of steam and battery life, and I have to end up going to buy a DeWalt anyways.
Yeah.
But some people learn better than others.
So I think that is an episode in itself, that whole battle between
Absolutely.
real estate agent and discount brokerage that really gives no services at all, but may sell your house.
They may.
So we'll leave that for another day. There is
Cool.
some good stuff. We have our new best friend, Mr. Brian Jordan, left us a lengthy comment, which we really appreciate. It's very in-depth. I think we'll get into that a little bit later. Again,
People should go check out that comment though, right? If they haven't read it
they
on one of
can,
our
and
past videos, they
yeah,
should.
they can
Okay.
read it, and it will be posted as we're talking about this right now. Once we get into the editing, but he's basically asking, what do we do right now if we're hanging on to units to attract good tenants and not ruin our rents in the foreseeable future when
Mm.
things normalize. But again, we'll get to that a little bit later. There are some really interesting topics to talk about. Toronto. This one I thought was interesting. Let's spend 1 minute on it because it's kind of crazy. But you gotta love this. With all the protesting, people have come up with renaming some of the streets in Toronto
I love it.
that I guess have some ties to slavery in our distant past. So Toronto considers 4 options in renaming Dundas Street.
That's the big one.
What the hell? Like, do people not have anything better to do? Nobody's working and they're sitting around in front of their computers. And what is Dundas Street even reference, for God's sakes? This is just insanity.
What were the ideas though? Did they give
You know what?
options?
This was so stupid. I didn't even read the article. I read the headline and I was like, what the hell is going on? But considering the renaming of Dundas Street is just the beginning of the work we need to do to build a Toronto where we all belong, Mayor
We should
John
name
Tory said in a press release. Come on.
we should name it Joe Carter Street. Just to reference my little Blue Jays World Champs here in my video.
Which,
Uh,
by the way, we're on the
Joe
way
Carter.
to number 3 after last night's game.
There you go. Hey,
They
So,
killed it. So
that's my 2 cents.
I don't see what the potential names are, but maybe it can be something wonderful like the Raptors Street or another great name.
Sure. Kawhi. Let's just give him a street.
Kawhi Leonard Street.
Give him a street.
I still don't know why the basketball team's not called the Toronto Towers, but that's a whole other topic. So, okay, those are interesting little local nuggets that I wanted to get out there. Some good news for Toronto is that this is a little mixed, but we have an article that you actually sent to me. It says Canada's AAA rating confirmed by S&P on ample fiscal room, which sounds fantastic, and I would personally love to agree with this. But if you roll down and you have a memory, you'll remember that Moody's last month downgraded Canada from our AAA rating. So they're both bogus anyways, but this is good news.
I think it was actually the Fitch one that downgraded Moody's.
Was it Fitch?
Moody's yeah. But either way, I know what you're saying.
Much more what's the word I'm looking for? They're far more reputable. So yeah, let's listen to them.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you know what? It's just good news, good headlines.
It's a good headline.
There's a sort of caveat at the end there where they say, we would consider downgrading them if, the stimulus is not brought in further economic output and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to be watching us pretty carefully. But, at the end of the day,
we're one of 2 countries, though, that made this list. Like out of the top 7, the G7, yeah, we and Germany are the only ones that got to keep our AAA ratings, which is pretty good. Germany's a pretty good economy.
Yeah, Germany's cool. No issues with that, right? And they also handled the virus really well too. So maybe that's also playing into the decision, right?
Absolutely. So that was definitely good, interesting news to talk about. There was another article here about inflation in the Canadian economy, which, again, in my opinion, for what it's worth, is just a load of horse crap. I mean, they're saying we went from 0.4% inflation to 0.7% inflation. Meanwhile, I don't know if you've tried to buy groceries or anything lately, or a house or rent something. I think inflation is a little more than 0.3%.
I think because of gas prices, that's one of the big ones that's keeping inflation a lot lower.
That makes sense.
Right, but so there's kind of like the major markets that are helping. But you're right, yeah. I think
just the basket of the indexes.
Beef on its own is like double, right? Try to get a couple steaks at the grocery store. It's
yeah, and so what's weighing the index heavily is something that we're not using because we can't leave our houses, right? But the
Mhm.
stuff we need to buy to like live,
Yeah,
we're not going to count that because it's not in the basket.
yeah. There's and they're
Anyway, that's
also
crazy, but
in
another
the
good
article.
headline.
Yeah,
So,
the article is really just talking about the increase in inflation, but you had this, period of deflation, right? Because there was zero economic activity, right? So that means that, in comparison, it really isn't anything to be alarmed about, but it is a good headline grabber when they say that inflation has gone up more than, uh, you know, more in the last quarter than it has in 10 years or whatever it was.
well, I mean, from our perspective, hearing inflation going up is not a bad thing because it increases the prices of everything we're working on, right?
Sure. Yeah. If you're thinking about
But
selling
other
real estate.
people are kind of probably panicked when they see an article like this, no?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody wants the cost of living to go up, especially if they don't have any foreseeable increases to their income,
Or
right? And
assets or yeah,
right
like nothing.
right now, I mean, who's got, positive job prospects right now? Like who's out there thinking like if you're in university, you're probably thinking, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that the program I'm getting into, there's, mass layoffs and job losses." You've got all sorts of different people who are in that fork road in their life, and they're probably not too excited to be going down there. I mean, it's only the established people right now who are feeling really secure about things.
I'd be more afraid if I was a little bit older and I was in a sector that was completely falling apart right now. If I was
Yeah,
younger, at least I'd have a chance to pivot or more time to pivot and more time to learn something and more energy to do that, right?
yeah. I wonder what Uber drivers are experiencing right now. I mean, that was its own little micro economy here, where all of a sudden all these part-time jobs were coming up. People were renting cars, similar to Airbnb. I wonder what the Uber numbers are right now because they were down big time the last time they were reporting them.
I remember I watched a video during the pandemic, maybe 6 weeks ago. I watched a video on YouTube of a guy who started being an Uber driver and was doing it full time, and just to kind of see what it was like. And um, I mean, Uber definitely took a little bit of a hit because you have to feel comfortable getting in a stranger's car and that they've disinfected it and all that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
um, I mean, people still have to get places, and Uber is probably a safer bet than taking a bus or a subway right now. So I don't know the numbers, but based on this guy's video, I mean, he did well enough to be able to sustain during this pandemic when his construction job, I think, closed, or he had a construction business and he
Yeah,
couldn't get any work. So he started driving Uber, and he was like, I'm making good money. I got to drive 12 hours a day
yeah.
and make
And
people
further to your point, I guess then the 60-year-old server at the local diner, right?
well, what's he gonna do? He's gonna go
Yeah.
work
You're
for
just going,
Amazon or
yeah.
Walmart or drive an Uber or what the heck are these guys gonna do?